Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey everybody, it's Cinthya.
And it's Michelle. Welcome back to another episode of
Awkwardly Random.
Woo!
Welcome back, y'all. We're back with another episode. It is currently Monday. We're recording on a Monday morning, y'all.
Yeah, I have off in case
So do
you're a
I.
coworker or anything else listening to this. I have off today, okay? Don't come for
Yes, we
me.
both have off today. Which actually we'll just say it, Michelle. We're gonna see each other today in person.
I know. Before we okay, should we tell people about our failed attempt?
Yeah, sure. So Jasmine
what happened was
I know what happened was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Jasmine and I talked about going to Six Flags, and we were like, we should go on a weekday because there's going to be less people. People are going to be at work. The school is we're still in the school year, so people are going to be at school. Let's just go on a Monday. And we decided April 25th, which is today, the day of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit up Michelle because we started talking about the podcast, and we end up talking for like 2 hours on FaceTime about all sorts of things. And I was like, you want to come to Six Flags? And you were like, yeah, let's go. But then we went to go get the tickets and they were closed. So this whole time we were planning to go to Six Flags, like it's going to be so much fun, but none of us checked to see if it was even open.
Yeah.
We just assumed it was open.
Hopefully we go soon. Either way, I still want to go, even though we are not going today. It's okay. It's still going to be a fun day.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, they're usually.
But I was so excited. I
Me
love
too.
Six Flags. I like, just like
know,
the feeling of being on a roller coaster and like the adrenaline rush.
It's a thrill.
And then eating junk food. Like, it's amazing. I would feel young again. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah,
brings you back to my
it's
youth.
okay. It'll still be fun today. We'll still eat junk food.
We will.
I don't know. Yeah, we probably will. It'll be fun. Should we tell people our plans or should we just hold off until they see the video?
Well, we're planning to vlog it. So
yeah. So just wait till the vlog comes out.
Yeah, just wait till the vlog
and
comes
be surprised.
Out. I will let you know. We can just say we'll be in Milwaukee, but we'll see what we end up doing in Milwaukee. Stay tuned for that video. It'll be on our YouTube channel in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mish, you're in Milwaukee. You're with family. Doing well?
Yep, doing good. It's been fun being with everyone. I have a new niece, so meeting her was really nice. She's so cute and adorable. And just spending time with family has been really nice too. So yeah, just chilling.
That's so cute.
What about you?
I'm good. I was in Wisconsin this past weekend with family as well. Reconnected with some friends. Went downtown. I brought Jasmine with me, so I showed her State Street, the Capitol Terrace. For those of you who are from Madison, probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was really hot, so there was a lot of people out. Parking was a shit show. It was packed.
Dang.
The lines were super long to get pictures or food, pictures of beer,
goodness.
pictures of whatever alcohol or whatever drink you want.
Yeah, but it's a good time.
Nice.
Yeah,
you could feel the breeze from the lake, so it wasn't like unbearably hot. It was just it was hot, but then you had that nice breeze from the lake, so it felt really good. And then we just hung out on the lake. We talked. We played Uno.
Cute, nice.
And then we ended up hitting up a bar that night and just played some pool. And then we called it a night.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
That sounds fun.
It was good. It was a good time. Nice to recharge, and it's also nice to have a 3-day weekend. So
yeah, that is true.
We hope all of y'all are doing well. Everybody who's listening.
Yep.
We hope you're having a good week. It is Monday, so we hope if you are working, you have a good day.
Yeah, but when you're listening to this, it probably is not Monday, or maybe it is. If it is, happy Monday. If it isn't, happy other day.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's get to our awkwardly random question because we have the main topic for today is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right. let's ask the
There's
question.
a lot of info for it too. So before,
Yes.
let's get into the question. All right.
Yeah.
What is the question? Awkwardly random question of the day. It is, does being child free mean you have more time?
It's such a vague question. In many cases, maybe yes, because you don't have that type of responsibility. But that doesn't mean, I don't think it's an automatic yes, because what if you have other things to do? Like, what if you do have other, like, really big responsibilities that take up a lot of time?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to have a child to be incredibly busy.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like a yes for everything.
Yeah. I think no. I don't think they have more time. I think we all have 24 hours, and I think everybody has their own set of responsibilities and set of whatever things they're focusing on. So I don't think that just because you don't have a child, you have more time. I think everyone has different, it's hard. I think people have different set of responsibilities. And I'm not saying that like people with children also have less time or more time either. I just think everyone has different set of responsibilities and priorities and what they're focusing on that like takes up their time.
Now, Michelle and I do not have kids, so we can't really speak for someone who has children, and people who have kids may feel differently, right? They may feel like, yes, their time is taken up by, especially if you have really young kids who still need to be watched 24/7. So we are not speaking for people who have children. This is just based on our experience and what we've seen, and we have friends who have kids, and I have a niece, and I know it's a lot of work and it takes up a lot of time. I get that. At the same time, we all have, like you said, 24 hours in a day, regardless if you have kids or not. So,
but it's definitely, I'm not saying it's easier
right
for people. I'm just saying like we have the same amount of time, but it definitely is harder for people to have kids. I definitely know that too. I agree with what you're saying, being
I think
don't have children. It can be, but as someone who doesn't have kids, I don't have that responsibility, so I don't really know also. But I definitely know that having children is another set of responsibilities that, you know, takes up time as well. So it's a lot for whatever your situation is. It's just different set of responsibilities, different things going on in lives. But I
agree with you. And you never know, like, what if it's two parents that are co-parenting, but they're not together, and you get the child for like half the week, and then the rest of the week it's with the other parent, they're with the other parent. Like, there's all these different situations. So I think it's very context dependent. So I can't really say yes or no to that question.
I know it's hard. You're right. I think you're right. I think it depends. Yeah. Right. It depends. It's situational.
That's going to be
but in general, I mean, obviously, technically we all have the same amount of hours, but
yes,
I think that's very like simplified. I don't think that's, just retracting on my answer. It's super simplified to look at. Technically, we have the same answers, right? And I'm rolling my eyes at my own answer because it's super simplified. But I think different responsibilities or different things you have to do take certain amount of time.
Right.
And I think it varies.
Yes.
So I think you're right. Situational, and it depends.
I think
but technically we all have the same amount of time. But still, you know. All right.
I got it. I got you, Mish. I got you.
I think I repeated myself so many times, but I hope you got what I understood. No shade to the people who have kids. No shade to the people who don't have kids. Like, we're all here trying to make the best of our lives.
Don't assume that people have time or don't have time. Like,
exactly.
I hate when people say that, like, you do have time for this. Like, you don't know their lives.
That is true. Yeah.
I don't know. That just bugs me. It's a pet peeve. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's get into this topic. Okay. I hadn't heard about this until Michelle brought it up. Michelle and Jesus. And then I started reading up on it and watching videos, and I'm like, holy shit, this is very complicated.
It's so complicated.
Yeah. So for the main topic of today, so at the time of this recording, we are on day 8 of an estimated 6-week, very contentious defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, his ex-wife Amber Heard. Mm-hmm. So Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard for $50 million, right? Alleging that she defamed him in the opinion article that she wrote back in 2018 for the Washington Post, where it's titled, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." So she spoke about, in the article, about being a spokesperson or something about combating sexual assault or domestic violence. And she didn't specifically mention Johnny Depp in the article, but him and his team are saying that it's very clear, it's very obvious that you're talking about Johnny Depp. And as a result, he's experienced many losses in his career, right? So he's no longer in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, the third installment, which is currently in theaters as we speak. And he, I think, is also no longer part of the Pirates of the Caribbean, or something happened with the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, he was dropped from.
He was dropped from it
as Jack Sparrow. Yeah, he was dropped as that.
Okay,
he was dropped from the franchise.
Okay.
But I don't know if they intended to like make more movies, but that's what it was published, that he was dropped.
I think there was supposed to be a sixth film. There's 5, right? I think there's 5.
I think that there is 5. I'm not sure, but
I think I might have heard, I don't know, I have to research this,
they definitely dropped him for sure. Yeah, from the franchise.
Yeah. So basically he's arguing that like his career is going to ruins because of what she has said about him in this article and stuff. And she's actually countersuing, which I didn't know until recently. She's countersuing him. She's also suing him for defamation
for $100 million.
For $100 million because his lawyers or his team are saying that she's a liar, which is also defaming her, right? She's also facing certain repercussions on her career. So it's just like they're both suing each other.
And they're big celebrities. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think these are very serious allegations. I think in general, like in sexual assault, domestic violence, any abuse is very serious. And I feel like with this being celebrities, I feel like people are overlooking how severe in general, regardless, by both parties, I think. And I feel like people are very quick to make an opinion just based off of a headline or like in general, like I think it's very weird we're talking about the case, right? You're going to talk about the case, right? But I feel like when you insert yourself in like having an opinion on someone's like relationship in terms of like domestic violence, I think it can get really like complicated and messy. And, we don't really know, but what we're talking about is like the actual defamation trial, like what is happening, what has been published, what is information that's coming out, like what witnesses have been testifying, what witnesses may appear, like what is it that they actually need to prove within the case. So that's what we're going to talk about, but I also don't want to take away from the seriousness of these like allegations or in general, because this is such a public facing issue. I think that there are people who go through domestic violence and abuse, and this is very serious too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like Johnny's side versus Amber's side.
I know.
Side are you taking and like,
or like justice for Johnny or justice for Amber and like all these. I've been seeing that on my social media posts. Have you?
I haven't seen the justice for Amber ones. I've seen a lot of people side with Johnny more than Amber.
Yeah, same.
But as I'm watching this, like I've never really paid this much attention to a trial. Like this is very complicated and like I just don't know. I don't have that much knowledge in terms of how this works. But as I'm watching these witnesses, and currently, actually right now as we speak, Johnny Depp is still being cross-examined. Yeah. All these audio clips and pictures and videos and text messages. Like this is really, I was like in shock almost, like very disturbing, violent things that we're seeing. And it just makes me think about like when like, believing a victim, right? Believing when someone is telling you I was abused by my partner, right? Yeah. And then as you go on and you hear about all these other revelations and this information comes to the surface, then you're like, wait a minute, this was fucked up on both sides.
And that's what I was mentioning before, where I think it's very, I feel disturbed when people are making those kind of like, oh, I support
right,
Johnny or like Justice for or whatever in general. Like I'm not siding with either one, right? I'm just talking about the case right now, and I'm not going to side with either one,
right,
to be honest. But I think that it's very telling culturally, like how Amber Heard is being treated, or you know, in how she's being seen in the public eye right now, or the court's public opinion, right, is what people have been referencing it, like how they're coming off to the public. And people, like you said, are definitely more on Johnny's side. But I think it's also because also, like, you know, it could be many people's opinions why they're doing that. But I think also because men aren't typically seen as victims of domestic violence, even though they are, you know, it is possible. Anyone could be a victim of domestic abuse or violence. But at the same time, it's also very disturbing to see how people have turned on Amber Heard without, you know, because this is a trial, you know what I mean? Like attorneys are trying to get certain evidence into the court and certain evidence not into the court. And obviously they're making these arguments and these things to persuade the jury to decide in their favor. So in general, it can be very difficult to gauge like what an actual relationship looked like for them, you know, especially with all these things. So that's why I just think it's kind of, it can be, at least I'm looking at it from the perspective of women who have been silenced by their abuser. Not saying that, you know, Amber is correct and true and all this other thing, but this plays out, you know, and how women specifically, who are the majority of domestic violence situations that happen to them, like get silenced, get intimidated into not speaking out. So the fact that like people are really going against Amber, and in general Hollywood's treatment of women is definitely a lot different than how they treat men, especially someone like Johnny, who is super popular, charismatic, all these amazing roles, you know what I mean? So I just think it's very like contentious case, and but it definitely has a role in how we as society and culturally view domestic violence. And I think that's what like kind of is troublesome to me, seeing how people are responding. And that's why I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's watching it at this point, almost everybody. Like it's a very popular, like I'm seeing it all over YouTube, TikTok. People are commenting about it. People are very explicit about which side they're on. And I'm just trying to keep I'm trying to keep an open mind about everything and just taking in all the information at face value, right? This is what they're telling us, this is what we're hearing in the trial, in the court. It's just, and it seemed like a very toxic relationship to begin with, to be honest. And domestic abuse can look not just violent, right? It could be emotional, psychological, like this. I don't know, right? This is just what I'm thinking, but I'm not taking either side. And I think they're both hurting in the long run. And I think they're both losing at the end of this, regardless. Like, you know, regardless of legally who wins the case, I think they've both suffered quite a bit. Based on what I'm seeing. And there's a lot of hate towards Amber Heard, more so than I've been seeing against Johnny Depp.
So let's get into it. I think, so just to clear it off for people, or clear it up, this isn't a criminal case. This isn't a criminal trial. It's a civil lawsuit. It's for money. So with people saying like, oh, like you should put her in jail or whatever, like that's not going to happen. Like this is about like money.
Wait, Mish, I have a question for you. Let's say if Amber ends up losing this trial, this case, ends up winning, right? Where her statements are decided to not be a lie, like she was telling the truth about all the shit that she said he did to her. Could he then be criminally charged later on because they're decided to be true statements, or no?
So, okay, so this is complicated because in order for there to be criminal charges or to be in court, and those charges need to be brought up by a prosecutor. So they need to determine, where did this happen? When did it happen? Do the district attorneys make that decision, whether they have enough evidence to bring this up in court? Because it would be against like I don't know what level of crime it would be. They would have to determine that, and they would have to determine if they have enough evidence to prove that it could be in court. And then there's also like statutes of limitations of like times of when time has passed where this can go in court. So like, yeah, so I don't know, it maybe, but honestly, they need to have enough evidence to prove to a jury that he can be convicted of a criminal crime. But I mean, that's way past what we're talking about now. Like,
I'm just
because
wondering.
she wins the defamation case, like, doesn't mean that he's automatically going to jail or anything. Like, that's not how it works.
No. This is all.
They're two different types. Yeah, just two different types of cases. But did you read the op-ed that she wrote? Yes. Yeah, when she talked, like, you were right. I think that she didn't mention him in general, but she did talk about, I think, a lot of important issues in the op-ed about like men's power in society, like being exposed, her like experience being abused at a young age, like talking about the Me Too movement, definitely, talking about Trump as a president who was the president at that time, being accused of sexually assaulting people or women specifically. She also talked about VAWA, which is the Violence Against Women Act, used to fund programs that help and assist victims of domestic violence. And then also talk about like just legal services that they provide too. So yeah, I think that, I read it too. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think she was pretty spot on with all of that. Like the fact that so many women get some backlash or scrutiny when they do speak out on cases or in their own experiences with either harassment, sexual assault, domestic violence, or abuse. She also spoke out about, she also talked about her experiencing certain ramifications with her career, right? I think she was, her role was recasted for some movie. I don't know which movie it was. Then she was dropped by a global fashion brand.
She did mention that.
Then looking at the article, there's questions around whether she would continue her role as Mira in Justice League and Aquaman. Like, so she's also had these types of backlashes and ramifications too for speaking out. And I do agree. I think there are systems and institutions that protect men in various ways, in ways that are different than women. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty general. Like, yeah, she didn't specifically mention Johnny Depp, but the opening statement, I think his Johnny Depp's lawyer's opening statement, he kind of focused on this piece of it where she said, quote, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse. So she wrote this article in 2018. 2 years prior was 2016, which was when she and Johnny Depp divorced, and she had a domestic abuse restraining order on Johnny Depp. That's where those claims first came to fruition of her being, experience of domestic abuse at the hands of Johnny Depp. Yeah. So, I mean, even to me, that seems pretty clear that she's referring to him. Yeah. Even though she didn't specifically say his name. So I think they're going to use that a lot in the court, or at least I heard that in the opening statements. So let's talk about why. We'll get into what needs to be said by his side in order for him to win, and what her side is probably trying to do in order for her to win. But before, people are like, why is this happening in Virginia? Like, they both live in Los Angeles. And I think that was a strategic thing on Johnny Depp's lawyers. So I can try to explain it as can you? Because I also didn't understand that.
Yeah. So in order to bring a lawsuit of this type, it has to be in the right, what they call jurisdiction. Basically, does this court have the authority to review this case? And what Johnny Depp's lawyers are saying, that because it was posted, the op-ed was posted on the Post, which in Virginia, the Post has two office sites, printing sites, and then an online, that's where their online system is held or incorporated or whatever. So they're saying because she posted on the Post, this is where their main offices are located, and so therefore it was published here technically, even though it was online, right? that's why I can sue her here. So that's why, and he convinced the court that he could, and so that's why the hearing is happening in Virginia. But I was reading that Amber Heard's lawyers were trying to move the case to California, not just, well, obviously because like all of them live there and their witnesses, mostly all of them are in California, it would have been easier. But also there's this thing called the anti-SLAPP law that is a lot protective of this type of case on her side in California versus like in Virginia. There is also an anti-SLAPP law in Virginia. I can talk about them quickly. So anti-SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuits Against Public Participation. So it allows like people who are faced with defamation lawsuits to kind of not be like have the case thrown out, because it's based on like, let me see what it says, because it would be considered silencing free speech that is in the public interest. So it is like petitioning the court for protection. So in California, what I was reading, I'm not in California, I don't live in Virginia, but this is what I found. But what the difference is in the anti-SLAPP statutes in California and Virginia is that in California, you can easily like petition the court, I guess, in the beginning before it even starts to say to the court, hey, this case, I'm protected by the anti-SLAPP statute, like this case needs to be thrown out. And the court can decide before it even goes to trial that like this case should be dismissed, like whatever, right? So it's a lot stronger for people in California to use versus like in Virginia, where like I guess they can't invoke it in the early stages of the proceedings, but they can motion the court to like take it in consideration. And it seems like the court has allowed her to argue the anti-SLAPP in Virginia. That doesn't mean that like they're gonna dismiss it, but they can say to the jury like, hey, this is a matter concerning public interest, domestic violence, and I have the freedom of speech or the protection in order to talk about this public interest topic. So I'm assuming that's also another thing that they're going to argue, that this is concerning her free speech. And
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So these statutes were made to protect people, or especially victims who are speaking out against like their abuser or something, in order to protect them to be able to speak on these things. So yeah, that's part of it, like strategy wise too. But I can talk about like what needs to be proven, or like what is for a defamation case, like why is this a legitimate case, and like what he needs to prove for the jury to decide. So he has to convince a jury, not a judge in this case.
Right. Yeah, I would want to know like what does Amber need to win this case, and what does Johnny need to win this case, right? Like yeah.
Okay, so since Johnny brought the case against Amber, he has like the burden of proof. He has to prove these things. Amber doesn't have to prove these things. Johnny does, because he's suing Amber. But then because Amber countersued, and then makes
she also has to prove, right?
Yeah, for sure. So in specifically for this case, because they're both public figures, I'll explain it. So these are the like elements or the requirements for a defamation case. So it needs to be a publication. So it needs to have been a statement. Obviously here it was published. It was seen by a ton of third parties. So that's one of the first elements. Second element is it has to be false. The statement has to be false and defamatory. So false, like we all know what false is. Like it's not true. There's different types of like what false can be. Based on different cases, and like so yeah, that's its own thing. I'm not really going to go into it. Defamatory means what you said earlier, meaning that it harmed the plaintiff or the person. It harmed them, and in this case, like his movie roles, her movie roles, concerning that the plaintiff. And then the third thing is like concerning of the plaintiff, that it had to be about the person. So I know one thing that you mentioned was like that she didn't name him, and that's not essentially a requirement. You don't have to name it. What it says is like of concerning of the plaintiff means that the plaintiff in this case would be Johnny, right? That it does not mean that the published statement must refer to the plaintiff by name. However, the plaintiff satisfies this element by showing that the publication was intended to refer to the plaintiff and would be understood by persons reading or hearing it who knew the plaintiff.
Yeah, so, I heard something about it being defamatory by implication or something, where she was implying that it was him, even though she didn't specifically say Johnny Depp hit me, right?
Yeah,
it was an implication. Yeah,
so that's one of the reasons why, you know, his attorney did that, and what you mentioned before, that although he wasn't named specifically, we all knew who she was talking about,
right?
So they're in their opening statement, sorry, I'm jumping off, but like in their opening statements, each attorney is basically setting the stage for the jury, and the elements. So on Johnny's case, I'm assuming, I remember hearing it. I don't remember the actual opening, but they're trying to state the elements of defamation and how he meets them. And on Amber Heard's side, they're saying how, like, you know, this is true, like all these other things, right? And just trying to back it up in that way. The other requirement is they have to prove like an intent. And especially for this specifically, they have to prove that Amber published these statements with actual malice. And everyone's like, what does that mean? So like, what actual malice means is that the defendant either knew that the statement was false or acted with a reckless disregard as to whether or not it was true. So Johnny's team has to prove that one of these things, that either she knew that it was published with actual malice. So one of these things that I just mentioned. So yeah, I think, and the statement, what I'm referring to is the op-ed that she published, because they're talking, that's what this defamation is about, is the op-ed. But yeah, did that make sense? I felt like I was just rambling and like trying to read off these things, and I hope people understood. If not, let me know.
No, that makes sense. I tried reading up on it and I didn't understand the terminology. Yeah. So like there was just, it's nice to hear like the way you explain it is much more digestible. So yes. Yeah. At least to me, it made sense.
Okay. And we already talked about this briefly, but Amber Heard can say, obviously, for her to win this case, she would have to prove that, you know, what she published is the truth. The truth is always like a defense to defamation in terms of civil lawsuits. So there are certain privileges to that protect a person from being sued by defamation. But mostly here it would probably be the truth. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't do these things.
I have no idea.
Or defamation, but that's what people are doing, or that's what it seems like her attorneys are doing, is trying to prove that, you know, Johnny Depp was abusive towards her, or physically abusive to her, or, you know, they both, in this case, they're both alleging that the other person was physically abusive, but they're denying that they both were physically abusive. So I think that's what makes this very complicated.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot for people, at least for me, who didn't study law and doesn't know how this works. So I appreciate you explaining all of that. There was something before we get into like the testimonies, if we want to get into it, we can. There was something that you pointed out to me and that I'm starting to see now circulate too, of certain tactics that Amber Heard is using in the court, whereby she is dressing like Johnny Depp. Like he'll have some sort of all black suit and a tie, and then she'll wear something very similar to that the following day. And people are saying she's playing mind games, or there's a strategy, there's intention behind that. I hadn't really noticed it until I think the first day that Johnny Depp was being cross-examined, I saw her pull out some round glasses, just like the ones he had. Or were they round? I can't remember. The same shape.
Really? Glasses. I didn't see that.
And she had, I mean, from what I've seen from the past few days, she hasn't worn any glasses. Wow. So that was it's just interesting to me. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing a lot of people talk about it. So I don't know.
I know. Yeah. You mentioned that I brought it up to you. It's because I saw TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't come up with this. Like, I I didn't put it two together because I haven't really been watching the trial. But I've been trying to catch up and summarize each day. But I saw the comparison between their outfits on TikTok. Different people saying how, like, you're right, like she copied the day after some of his outfits. I don't know if she's still doing that, but I believe in the beginning she was, in the first couple days. Sorry. And you can Google it or like TikTok it. I'm sure people have posted about it, but I think it's strange that she is, or that it maybe is it a coincidence? I don't know. Is it planned? I don't know. I don't know, but it definitely seems like it is planned. It definitely seems like she's trying to, like, I don't know, like it seems like she is copying him. It's just what I'm gonna say. I don't know if she actually is, but it actually does seem like she was. I don't know if she is still doing it. And you're right, the reason why people have brought it up is because people are saying that it's an intimidation tactic that abusers have used with their victims to try to get them to not say certain things, or to still have them within their control or power. So I don't know, but this is allegedly what people are saying. And if you Google or TikTok it, or even look for yourself on court TV, like what they're dressed like, you can tell that, in the beginning, it definitely seemed like she was. And you said that recently she pulled out glasses during his cross-exam.
Wow. The camera was on her, and I saw her pull up some glasses and put them on, like as if to like read something. I think they were pulling out some sort of text, like some piece of evidence or something. And it's similar framed glasses that Johnny Depp had on, or has on, for the trial. So it's just interesting. I don't know what that means. I think she's also being just watched very carefully, because a lot of people are, again, we've said this before, they're taking more of Johnny Depp's side, at least that's from what I'm seeing. And so she's being watched very carefully. And so all these TikToks and YouTube videos are being put out about what she's doing in the court. So
and I'm sure she knows.
Right.
I'm sure I'm sure they both know, to be honest. And I'm sure their lawyers are like definitely on also social media checking to see how like public is doing. I mean, obviously they shouldn't, like, Amber and Johnny Depp shouldn't be on social media or any of these things. But
how okay, so this is moving on to the testimonies, I guess. Have you been watching them, or what do you know about the what's been going on recently?
So I know the first couple of weeks, I mean, obviously it's Johnny is starting off the case with his witnesses first. And then once he like rests his case, then it'll be Amber Heard's witnesses. So I know I definitely heard I think the first witness was Johnny Depp's sister. I heard some of hers. And then I think the second person was Amber Heard's assistant. The third person was Johnny Depp's like lifelong friend / I think used to live with them. And then right now it's Johnny Depp. So I definitely know that, I mean, with the things that they've talked about during as the witnesses, his sister talked about his early life, like his upbringing, like with their mother, and him and her being, I guess their mother was like was abusive to them, but with Johnny, she would physically hit him too, and just demean him and belittle him, and just she talked about basically what he did as a kid, and how he kind of just didn't really say anything against his mother, kind of was just more like to himself, and like, or would walk away, but he never, like, she's saying that he never, talked back to her, or like never really, he never hit her, he always just walked away. So she talked about that and their upbringing, and like, and she also worked for him, and so they asked her about like how he like would how he saw his relationship with Amber and all these other things. So they questioned her about that.
She said that Amber Heard was psychologically and emotionally abusive towards Johnny Depp. And she would say that Amber Heard called him an old fat man. And, so they were trying to paint Amber in this way. Right. And then something that struck out to me was his friend, the one that you mentioned, Isaac Baruch, longtime friend, also lived in that same building. I think they were neighbors. They lived in the same building. And he was recounting a story of around his birthday, Isaac's birthday, that Amber had told him that Johnny Depp had thrown a phone at her or something, but he didn't see any marks on her face, so he wasn't sure. And then her team, Amber Heard's team, kept asking Isaac if about Amber's makeup, right? Have you seen her apply any makeup? Do you know if she was wearing anything to hide? You know what I mean? They were really going in about the specifics, and this just made me think this is going to be a long trial. Now it makes sense why they said 6 weeks, because they go into every little detail that they could use to build their case. And it was very detailed. It was very thorough. I'm like, why? Yeah. Have you seen her wear foundation? Have you seen her wear concealer? Right? Very specific, detailed questions. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, they're definitely asking, the attorneys. I know some people, I've seen comments on social media are like, oh, why are these attorneys asking this? Oh, they don't, they seem frustrated, they seem this or whatever, right? But I think that, these attorneys have prepared. These attorneys, they're asking these questions for a reason.
Right.
I mean, I don't know their strategies, but I know that attorneys ask questions for specific reasons.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to see how all of this plays out as it keeps going.
Yeah. Another thing that I found interesting was Kate James, which was Amber Heard's personal assistant, and how she described Amber to be to have quote manic episodes, right? And how she was treated very poorly as an employee, and they had an altercation, and Amber was said to have spit in her face when they were negotiating salary. This also probably is not helping Amber's case. Yeah. So a lot of this information and I think that's why coming to light. Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people also, this information coming out is also why they just women are viewed in this terrible light.
Right.
And then having these things come out of what you did also is adding to that.
Right. Did you also watch their former marriage counselor? I think Laurel Anderson.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her. Yeah, for sure.
She said she saw them for 4 sessions and claimed that there was aggression on both sides. So they were mutually abusive towards each other in different ways. So
yeah,
that's also been pretty interesting too to hear. So like I said, Johnny Depp is currently under cross-examination, and I think this is how I'm interpreting it, Mish. Let me know if you agree or not. I think Amber's team's angle is to paint Johnny Depp as this raging alcoholic and drug addict who blacks out and doesn't remember, and therefore his claims have no substance to them. Right. That's kind of the angle that I feel like that's their strategy that I think they're trying to use. Yeah. Because they're really honing in on you did drugs with this person, you did cocaine, and you drank all this alcohol, right? They're really honing in on that and painting him as this unquote monster. I don't know how well that's gonna work. We'll see. But it seems like that's the angle that they're taking. Have you seen his cross-examination?
Not in its entirety, but I have. And they're definitely reading his text messages. Yes. Did I read this correct? And all these other things. So they're doing their job. I mean, she hired them. So
yeah,
his attorneys are doing their job too. So we'll see. I mean, and I feel like he's trying to answer the best that he can. And it'll be interesting to see if Amber testifies. I'm assuming she would. I don't know, right? But right now all we're seeing is just Johnny's side and then the cross-examination. And obviously they're gonna bring up everything that has come out against him too. So
Doesn't she have to testify because she's also countersuing, or no?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if she has to, but I feel like she would.
Right. I feel like she should, right? To at least get some I don't know, get her perspective in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think she has to, but I think, I mean, if you think she should, I feel like the jury would want to hear her, to be honest. Yeah. If I was on the jury, I'd be like, I want to hear both sides.
Right. And I think that's what,
But I think, most people want to see that happen. And I'm assuming it is going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah. I would personally like to hear what she has to say and give her a chance, you know, to share her perspective. But I mean, I don't know. That's just me. I'm not trying to give too many opinions either, because I don't know. And this is, I don't know. This is very complicated stuff.
Yeah. But the things coming out on both sides of what they did has been like serious.
Right. On both some sides. Of these text messages.
Yeah, they are terrible. And also what she did, like, I like I guess in his direct examination, she like had like pooped on their bed.
Oh yeah.
There's like audio recordings of her admitting that she physically hit him, and like kind of downplaying that, or like gaslighting him about it. Other things too, but then also for him, like these text messages with Isaac, text messages with Paul Bennett, right? Bennett, that made Bennett. You know, if he actually gets called as a witness, which, you know, they put him on the witness list, we'll probably be talking about that. But yeah, there's a lot of text messages by Johnny that show just like graphic,
they're very violent
text messages of what he wants to do to her.
Right.
But yeah, just everything that's coming out, like, yeah.
Where do you see this going, Mish? If you feel comfortable sharing that, like, do you see
I'm not an expert. I don't know.
Just based on what you've seen, like, do you see it leaning towards one side, or do you just kind of like there's lots of stuff on both sides?
Well, in terms of abuse, obviously there's abuse on both sides. I can't say who's the aggressor, or the anything. Like, I'm not going to comment on that. But in terms of like the actual defamation case and just looking at the elements, I'm not an attorney in this area. I don't practice this area of law. I just do immigration work. So, just looking at the elements, it's very hard to win, I think, defamation cases, especially as both of them being in the public eye,
right?
And this talking about domestic violence, and having to prove, you know, I think in general, like, what's the hardest to prove in all these elements that I listed is the intent, the actual malice, or like like whether it was false,
right?
Because he also has to prove that it was false and defamatory. So having to prove the falsity and then also the actual malice is very hard, I think. And there's a lot of things that are coming out on both sides, and I think that that can kind of throw off the jury too, because there's a lot of things coming on both ways and they have to decipher everything. And so the jury in the end is going to decide who wins, if Johnny Depp wins the defamation case, or who wins, right? But what people are saying, or other people, I am looking to like the legal experts here, and I'm listening to what they're saying. And what they're saying is that it's really hard to win defamation cases. If this was in front of a judge, they think that he would lose. But they're saying that because it's in front of a jury, you can sway a jury, you know what I mean? That's why they're there. And the attorneys are trying to do their job to win the case for their clients. But they're saying if it was in front of a judge, they think that the judge would not give it to Johnny. But they think that, you know, and obviously it's still early on in the stages, like, but what is known for now, that's what they think. But obviously they think that Johnny Depp's attorneys are doing their job and they could sway the jury. So I don't know. I just think defamation cases are hard. Like the elements are hard to prove. Like in this case, like there's just a lot coming out. There's more to come out, but I just know that it's really hard to win. So I guess we'll see what happens. So I guess you kind of know where I'm going or what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. No, I'm just wondering like what the difference is, right, between a judge and a jury too. And what does that, you know, what does that mean for Johnny Depp and for Amber Heard, right? What does this mean for the trial, and like, where is this going to go? And I don't know, man. I'm hearing a lot of things from both sides. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out. These text messages are really freaking violent, and it doesn't look good for Johnny Depp when those text messages are being shown to the public and to the jury, specifically the jury, more importantly, the jury. I'm not going to read those messages because damn, they're pretty triggering too, right? I'm assuming this is very triggering for a lot of people, and it's just not easy. This is really heavy stuff.
It is heavy. And that's why I think it's so, again, going back to my comment of like how people are just like so nonchalantly posting about this,
right?
And like just the things that they're posting about, more specifically on Amber, even though I'm not on either one side, just seeing how this is unfolding within like social media and stuff. It's just like interesting, but also kind of terrifying at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I just think it's super complicated, and I don't want to comment on that specifically and on that because I think these are serious things. You know, I feel like we're not really understanding like the gravity of domestic violence, and like you said, domestic violence doesn't have to only include physical violence. It includes emotional, mental abuse. Right. So, it's just eye-opening to see how people view domestic violence now. But yeah, I hope this doesn't affect it will, but I hope it doesn't affect how like other victims go about,
right?
Or like, well, we'll see, you know, I don't know. But yeah, it's just a lot. I think it's a lot. And to have just an opinion right away, I just don't understand how like right away people are just like picking a side. Like that to me is like, I can't understand that.
I think it's like because it's on social media, it's everywhere, everybody's talking about it. It's like this entertaining thing where like it lets every you know, pick a side and see who wins, right? But it just takes away from the gravity of all of this. This is very serious stuff. And people, I mean, this is going to impact a lot of people, not just Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to say this goes to the wider conversation too about toxic relationships, domestic abuse, all that kind of stuff. Like, it just made me think of when those text messages came out, when he was being cross-examined. Like, he said this when they were just dating, they were girlfriend and boyfriend. And it just like, it makes me think like, that's a giant ass red flag. Like, to say those things about your partner who I guess later on you end up marrying, right? Like, you know, those are really big red flags. And you know, I hope people consider that, like, consider those moments, right? If you're talking about your partner in that way, like, you should maybe reevaluate that relationship.
Should you be with this person?
Right. Much less marry them, right? Like, you're saying these really graphic, violent things about them.
And
I don't know,
some
man.
people's, and I've read other people's things, like trying to, I guess, justify why he said these things. I don't think this type of language should be justified, to be clear.
No.
But what people are saying is that, like, if you're being like manipulated or abused, people would talk about their partner in this way. But I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, in general, it's just super what both have done, like what has come out by both of them, what they've done, like, or said, like, it definitely is not a healthy relationship. And yeah, you're right. People need to, you know, evaluate fairly. I don't know. It's just like, oh my gosh, man. I just can't believe how people have like just opinions, like specifically about the domestic violence part of it.
Right.
But the domestic violence part of it has a lot to do with this case, which is why it's like super complicated to talk about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Beans and I are on neither side. We're just talking about the case. what we've seen. We both agree that like obviously they're both hurting. They both have hurt each other in different ways. And we're just seeing it play out in this case.
Yeah. Regardless of what happens, they've already hurt so much, I feel like, and they're, and hearing all these, because this is very public. Anybody can watch this. They have these cameras and everybody's going to have an opinion. So no matter what, they're defamed in some way, I feel like almost.
Yeah.
Which
sucks. And it sucks. And I think that the reason why Johnny Depp brought this case is because he felt like his side of the story wasn't heard.
Right.
And I think maybe he thinks going through all of this is worth for people to know what he went through.
Right.
And obviously Amber Heard is, doing her side too, because she also wants to be heard. But I guess we'll see it play out. And like I said, like these attorneys are strategically trying to enter things into evidence or keep things out. Like also in some of the, I saw this like video of like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's attorneys like objecting to him because of hearsay. And so it just brought me back to like my evidence class in law school. But and him saying, oh, like, I guess I can't answer that. Or he'll answer, he's like, I guess it's hearsay.
Right.
So like they're objecting to certain things because these attorneys don't want certain things on the record. And if they're not on the record, then that means the jury can't consider these evidence in their decision. So like I said, this is just what happens in the courtroom. And these two have attorneys, they have money who can represent them. And a lot of the cases, when I used to work in law school at domestic violence shelter, many people don't have attorneys who can represent them and can like go on their behalf in court to get an order of protection and all these things. So just like the way I just see like this is definitely, these people have representation. They have like the resources to, have their voices be heard, but not many people do, especially not many victims do. So just wanted to point that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very important point. Let us know if you want us to keep covering this trial. This is going to go on for like another month or so.
I know.
Don't come at us.
Don't come at us, please. We're not trying to say like one person is right, one person is wrong. We're not saying that. We're just talking about like our thoughts in general about the case. And we're not siding with anyone.
No, we are not. We're not. Yeah. I have certain opinions about like some of these like things that are coming out. I'm like, whoa, they're very disturbing and they make me feel some type of way, but I'm not in any way saying that like I'm on either one side or
for sure.
Like one is doing more wrong than the other. All of these things that we're hearing about are wrong. Like all of these things that we're hearing. So
Ooh, I just can't believe the poop thing.
The poop thing, the finger thing. There was where his finger was chopped off. We don't know if it was like by him or by her. People are saying different things.
Yeah, or like the gaslighting of the punch. Like terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with that leaked audio. Yeah, we're not going to go into the specifics, but
we're not.
You can find
everything is bad.
Online.
We're just gonna say everything is bad. It's not looking good for either of them.
Right. So we'll
in terms
see
of the
happens.
Allegations of violent domestic violence,
I'm curious as to what's going to happen in the coming weeks. But currently, Johnny Depp is still under cross-examination. Who knows for how long? I didn't realize these things go for a long time. And I try to watch the whole thing, but it's just so long and it drags sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts. Hopefully you got some valuable information out of this. If you were looking for some clarity around this, there was a lot that I didn't know. So yeah, Mish, thank you for explaining some of that.
I tried to. And if I'm wrong in anything, just let me know. Comment below.
Yeah, let us know if we're wrong in anything.
Let us know if we're wrong on anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not an expert in this. This is just like from what I know and the research that I've done.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how this case moves forward in the coming weeks. And then also like the witness list. Like we got Elon Musk, we got Jason Franco, we got Jason Momoa and other people. This doesn't mean that they're actually going to testify, but they may. These are just people that they're considering, and they'll strategically place them wherever or not have them go on the stand. So we'll see how this goes.
So what's to happen after the cross-examination? Then they get more witnesses or what?
They continue with their witness list on Johnny Depp's side.
Oh, okay. So right now it's just Johnny Depp's side.
Yeah, and their witnesses. Yeah.
And okay. And then it'll move to Amber Heard's side. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, they'll do closing statements.
Okay. So we still have about a month, if that, maybe. We'll see. At least a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's super interesting to see strategically, like, how the attorneys are presenting these cases.
Yeah, because they can choose, right? They can choose which witnesses or to start with Johnny Depp first. Like they have that liberty, right? They can choose how to approach that. Like in what order.
Yeah, as long as they have that person on the witness list, they can decide on who they're going to bring whenever. But they have to have told the other side that they are bringing this witness before, so they can prep and have enough time too.
Got it.
So there are like certain procedures that lead up to the trial.
Right. Because witnesses are questioned by both sides, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So as we see right now, since it's the witnesses brought up by Johnny's like legal team, they start the direct examination. That's what they call it. So they'll do direct examination. There's specific rules on how you ask certain questions, what you can't ask, and you want to try to avoid not getting objected to. That's the goal.
Right.
And then once you do your direct examination, then it's the cross-examination by the other side, by Amber Heard's attorneys. And then it's the redirect where attorneys, Johnny Depp's attorneys can ask questions again if they need to like rehabilitate the witness. So and then when it's Amber's side of the case where they bring up their witnesses, then they'll start it off first as the direct,
and then they'll be cross-examined by Johnny's team.
Yeah, and then they'll have the redirect.
Okay. Damn, that's a lot.
Those are just the terminologies that they use. Court.
There's a lot of moving parts to this, so
that's why I find it so interesting. But the substance wise, it's super like complicated, and then also like just the allegations are definitely complicated, and the law too. Like there's just different things that come up, and like different things. Yeah, but you're definitely, when they're entering things into exhibits or into evidence, they're gonna use that.
Right.
That's what they're building their case.
Yeah. It seems like they're going through legit every single text message he has sent, and every audio clip, anything they can use, every little detail, and they're highlighting every single detail to win their case. So so okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I guess maybe because it's Johnny's side first, maybe that's why people are more towards on his side. I wonder if like once it's Amber's turn, whether that'll turn or not. I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see how things play out.
I've been watching and listening to, well, they have a YouTube and a podcast, but there's this they're like analyzing, they're going through, they're reacting and responding to the trial live and making all these comments and stuff. And they made this comment where they said that like Johnny Depp, based on hearing him, how he speaks and stuff, he speaks in a very poetic and hyperbolic way that they're wondering how much of these text messages are actually going to hit the jury in such a way that they're going to see him like in this negative light, because he is so hyperbolic sometimes that it's like, because he says like, savage or like certain words that he says. Does he really explicitly literally mean that, or is he just speaking in a poetic way? Right.
That's what his attorneys are doing.
Right.
They're trying to make it sound like, okay, you sent these text messages, but like you're looking at it as like how you said, in this way, you're an artist, you're expressing yourself. That doesn't mean like the literal thing.
Right.
And I was hearing some of his cross-examination, and he was responding in that way.
Yeah.
He's like, this is what it says, but this wasn't an argument. This was me just saying that, we had an agreement and she just didn't stick to it.
Right.
So he was like, I wasn't angry. It was just like, stating that we had agreed to something and she wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, so I think he definitely has a charismatic way of him and how he is and how he talks. That's just naturally how he is. So we'll see how Amber does on the stand too. So
I'm curious to see what she's going to say if she takes the stand, what that's going to
look
like for her.
Yeah. I just hope people, the thing is that like, yeah, I just feel like she's getting super like scrutinized and like talked about in this way, which I just don't understand why, even though like maybe she did make these false claims, maybe she didn't, we don't know, right? The jury's gonna decide things, but to automatically just go against people in general or like sending death threats. I know they've sent Johnny some, they sent Amber Heard too, so that's why like it's really affected them, but I just find it surprising that people go out of their way to like talk really negatively about people. I don't know, I just in general, not just with this case, but in general. I don't understand.
And it's a lot of people that have nothing to do with them. Like they don't even know them. Like these are just people from
like
the
these
internet.
Are ride or die people. I'm like, damn.
There are some people there that are like big fans of Johnny Depp's that flew from across the country to support him.
I know, from Australia and like lining up, like taking days off of work to go see. I mean, we're not working today and we're talking about this.
Yeah, but we're also not hating either one, and we're not
hating.
Yeah, no.
But it's just interesting to see like culturally, like how much we're like fixated on like celebrities too. You know what I mean? Like, is it healthy for people to be obsessed with like these people in their lives too? Like that's another conversation to have
for another. But
I just find it so interesting. Like, I just find it so like, wow, like just how people are reacting to it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and these go on all day. Like this is like, there's a lot out there that you can spend all day watching this. I've had to take some breaks because even for me it was just a lot. I'm like, I can't think about this anymore, but I'm hearing about it everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. So please, if it's too much for you, right, just take a break from it, come back to it if you want to keep learning more about what happens. But this can also be really triggering, and this is very serious stuff. So we just wanted to bring it up because it is something that a lot of people are talking about, and it is of public interest. And you know, I think this stuff is important to talk about. We just have to be mindful of how we talk about it, what we say, and not be so quick to assume or pick one side over the other, because you don't know what happens. The relationship was between them two, so we were not there. We don't know exactly what happened.
Anyway. And most importantly, how this affects regular people, because you know, they're celebrities, they have these resources, they have things that they can get, but many of us don't. And many of us are people who are just, you know, regular working class people are going through these issues. So just be mindful of like how you're talking about this, because people who may be going through this situation are reading your posts, are reading these things. And I would hate for this to just silence more victims. And I would just hate that would be the repercussion of this. But just be mindful of what you say, because you don't know what people are going through.
Exactly. Very important message, Mish. I think that'd be a good way to end this, because this is a lot.
Yeah.
So please let us know what you think of this, if this was helpful. Let us know if you disagree with anything that we said.
And don't come for us, please. If this is the first time you're listening to our podcast, like, if you do come for us, like, be chill about it, okay? Just let us know where you disagree. We can talk about it. It'll be fine. Respectfully.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Well, then let me know how I'm wrong. It's like your socials down there.
That's how we learn, y'all. We learn together. We're not here to judge people or call people in about their mistakes. We are here to grow together, okay? This is a community. Let us know what you think, and then maybe we can keep covering this. Maybe not every week, but we can add some more things. Things are going to keep
towards
coming
the end.
up. Yeah. I think that's a good idea towards the end.
Cool.
All right. Cool. All right. That was it, y'all. Thank you for tuning in.
Be safe. Take care.
Be safe. Take care. We'll see you when we see you at the next one. It is currently Monday, so we hope you're having a good week. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be
the weekend
afterwards. So if you're hearing this on the weekend, I hope you're having a good weekend.
Not enjoy your week.
Enjoy the week. Enjoy the weekend. We hope you're well. Be safe. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.